The part 3 to what happens next. This is much more a spiritual battle than anything else. Looking back, I noticed she was gradually moving away from God. I found out, through some of my snooping, that when she went out on Halloween, she dressed as the devil. I didn't think much of it at the time, but it has more significance than I thought. I hope I didn't give you the impression that I think I'm better than she is. What I will say is that I'm definitely more spiritually mature, but that doesn't make me better, maybe stronger. I just know that without her being led by God away from Satan and back to him, our reconciliation is highly unlikely. She is too busy thinking only about herself. She can't see the forest for the trees because she is too busy blaming me and criticizing me to examine herself and acknowledge her role in where we currently find our relationship. She did get mad at me today for telling her that I was still praying for and fighting for our marriage and family. Although it now means more or less waiting on God to do whatever His will dictates, He will do. I will continue to pray for her. I will say that tonight, she called stating that she had to take our daughter to ER for severe abdominal pain, so I met them there. We were there for 2.5 hours and I managed to get her to laugh and smile at one point. We really didn't talk much other than that, although I tried. She spent a lot of time texting, but I didn't question her about it. Her mom told our pastor that she isn't doing any of the things she was doing earlier, I exposed to her mother. I'm not sure if this came from my wife or it's an assumption that was made, but I find it hard to believe. Mother-in-law told pastor that she really didn't like that I showed her the things that I showed her, and that there are just some things she would not like to know. That's just a way of trying to run from her responsibility as a parent to address wrong, whether or not her adult daughter accepts it or not. I do know or believe that mother-in-law didn't address it with my wife because I waited for that angry phone call, but it never came. Oh well, the entire church doesn't know. I didn't really want to expose her in that fashion, but maybe I should have. Her infidelity was a one-night stand when she went to visit a girlfriend 2.5 hours away. Since then, it's almost like she came back and has been in search of her next fling through many different avenues. I really don't know what to think anymore. She is just out there and there's nothing I can do but pray. This morning, wife called about something to do with cell phones and wouldn't even allow me to explain anything. She starts talking about me invading her privacy, which is how I found out about her activities. She started talking about how she would be mean until I gave her what she wanted. I just told her I wouldn't retaliate and that I would continue to fight and pray for our family. She continues with the "I don't want to be with you, I love you" talk and continue to blame me for everything. I eventually told her I was ending the conversation and hung up. She called back trying to explain more of her plans. She says that none of her family think less of her because of her actions. Maybe I shouldn't have, but I replied that it was because they've all done the same thing. She hung up. I thought that was funny, but I'm not discouraged or sad, though. Whatever will happen, but that doesn't mean that I have to stop. At this point, I'm not really doing anything other than being the best me I can be. One day she will come to realize that she made a mistake if the divorce goes through. One day she will have to face up to how mean and vindictive she's been. Unfortunately, it will probably be too late. I'm a good man, although I've made my fair share of mistakes. I've done nothing but love her, and I continue to do so even in her current state of mind. She won't really realize what she had until it's gone. I just continue to pray and wait. So today we were supposed to have the Roe hearing. She claims my snooping was stalking and has conjured up and twisted some other events. We get there and we were told by judge that it had to be rescheduled along with the divorce hearing because he taught my wife in college. I don't believe in chance, but I do believe in divine intervention. I don't know what's going to happen down the road, but I do know that my wife today found out that she was not in total control. She didn't like it very much. I will continue to be prayerful and stay on my course. The funny thing about the Roe is since she filed it, even before, she has been the one calling me. She even invited me to come over for Christmas, but I declined. She has been to my apartment, although I made her stand outside. She now gets mad that I won't accept her phone calls. This sounds nothing more than someone who wants things her way. She can contact me, but she doesn't want me to contact her. She's just trying to manipulate and bully me into giving her what she wants, an easy and quick divorce, but I will not be bullied. I'm a fairly small guy, 5'10", and I learned how to deal with bullies years ago. Fight them. In this situation, I, of course, don't mean literally, but I'm not going to give in. The thing I also learned about bullies is they soon respect you more for your unwillingness to back down. I can only hope that happens here, but who knows? I am remaining to be steadfast in prayer. I'm struggling in so many ways right now, it's unreal. Marriage end or not. Not enough money at the end of the month. Car problems. Not being able to see my daughter. No money to continue fun activities. Marital home behind. I'm a mess, but I'll get through it. Don't know how or when, but I will get through. All of this while things seem to be so smooth for her. It really sucks. Due to the lack of finances, I may have to drop out of my pool league and probably the bowling league we share. I just can't afford it anymore. During this time, I've also learned how few friends I have. As a fairly young African-American minister, 35-year-old, who lives in a place with no relatives and far from where I grew up, it has been difficult to find others who didn't want to party, drink, smoke weed, chase women, and all of that stuff. I know I'm not perfect, nor will I claim to be, but there just are a few things that I can't compromise. I'm not sure if it's that I don't want to be around them so much as they don't want to be around me. I have a few guys that I know pretty well, but all they want to do is drink and hang out to the wee hours at various bars. That's just not me. There are a few church members that I've hung out with, but they are all 50 plus. I really just feel alone. Again, this sucks, but I'm dealing with it the best I can. I am currently working full-time and going to school full-time, so that keeps me pretty busy. I am now at the point where I'm prepared for the end of my marriage while I still hold on to a thread of hope, knowing that God can turn things around if it be His will. I will continue to pray for her. I do think I will have to make some changes, as I don't believe I can still remain at the same church and see her week after week. I can see her for our daughter's sake, but I don't know if I can deal with the questions from members about what happened and so forth. I don't think I can continue to get the cold shoulder from her mother, who also goes there. I didn't make this choice, and I'm tired of feeling like I have the plague. I have not done anything other than love her throughout this. Our dates for both the divorce and Roe have been reset in a week or so. Unless divine intervention occurs, I will be single in a month or so. Anything can happen. Nothing new to really report other than my coming to realize how few friends I have and how difficult it is to do things to keep mind off of situation when you have no money. Yesterday was pretty rough, not really having anything to do on my day off from work. I did some schoolwork, had devotional time, practiced on the keyboard, did some laundry, but had no actual interaction with others. I'm learning that my wife was really my best friend. I missed hanging out with my family all day long. If something were to change and another chance is given to me, oh, so how different things would be. I've always been aware of my issues and know that I need to make changes, and many have been made, at least the ones I can do by myself. Just trying to take day by day. Our real problem is not and has not been my unwillingness to change or acknowledge my flaws. It's that wife hasn't and won't address hers. Will she ever? Who knows? I've looked on the events calendars of the local newspaper, the county website, Craigslist, and others. There isn't anything out there that I'm even remotely interested in. There are dances and bingo and dinner parties for $30 a plate. There are gambling tourneys, but I won't do those. I've searched for support groups, as was also suggested, with no luck. Right now, although I am a full-time student that also works full-time, I would love to break from everything and just be able to talk to someone. It's funny because I think a lot of our recent problems are due to my hectic school schedule. I went back at the urging of my wife, and because I'm being funded by unemployment office, was laid off for 6 months, I have to go full-time until completion. There is only so much reading and keyboard playing a person can do. I can't afford even basic cable right now, so that's not an option. It'll get better sooner or later, preferably sooner. I'm an ordained minister but not a pastor. I have a full-time job until God sees fit to do something else with me. As far as the party goes, my party days are gone, especially in that type of setting. I don't mind a small, controlled gathering, but not interested in a block party. In addition, it's 20 degrees outside. All my family is 1,000 miles away. I came here and met her, so I decided to stay. There are just no adequate social places that allow me to be comfortable as a minister. I don't party or drink, so bars are out. I know sooner or later something will give. Every day has its own set of challenges, so I just continue to press on. Had a talk with my pastor yesterday. The discussion started with my wife's activities and how her mind is so foggy, as he put it. He pretty much told me nothing can be done to stop her because she is so wrapped up in what she's doing, knows it's wrong but won't stop. He said she will probably regret all of this sooner or later when she comes out of her fog and back to reality. But will I be there when she does is the question. Only God knows. On another note, I also mentioned to him that I think I'll start visiting some other churches. I don't know if it will be permanent or what, but it really is hard on me seeing her every week and having to deal with all of the questions and comments from others. She said she would leave months ago but didn't, so maybe I should. He told me he doesn't believe God would want me to do that but to stay. I don't know if I can deal with that. Does God want me to put myself through the torture of being around my STBX when I don't have to be? Does he want me to endure all of the questions and comments that will do nothing but increase or prolong the heartbreak of the situation? Right now, my school schedule keeps me pretty busy until the weekends come. If I have my daughter that weekend, I'm fine, but it's the other weekends that are pretty rough. I go and visit a couple of church members that I'm close to, but that's it. I would have to try to find out about the mentoring. It could be a good thing for me to do. I know that whatever happens is what God wills. I know that sooner or later, He will come through and bless me financially in His timing because God knows I need it. I know that He will eventually get her attention. Whether or not that is for the purpose of bringing us back together is really irrelevant. Is it my desire? Yes. Is it what God wants? Only He knows. I will continue to wait. My STBX and I both still attend same church. She grew up there and I joined after my relocation 11 years ago. She said she would leave 2 months ago. She said she would step down from her position as clerk, although at our pastor's request. She is currently not acting clerk but still has the title. She has done none of that, so it may just force me to do so for my sanity. However, things did change a little yesterday. It was brought to my attention that a friend of a member of the church saw wife's profile on dating site and asked if she was divorced. The reply was no, and the friend became angry that she is honestly seeking a companion and my wife is being dishonest on the same site. Found out other church members are also aware of it through their family members and friends on the site. I went to pastor and asked to finish the biblical plan for handling such matters since we've followed all the other steps and since she has not stopped like she said. He refused, stating that she wouldn't listen, so there was no use. Then said she may reply that she asked for divorce 2 months ago, and how do we respond? My issue is 1, the lack of him wanting to follow the word, and 2, me being the bad guy for fighting for my family and marriage. Who cares if she asked for the divorce? That doesn't make her actions acceptable. In this day and time, is there anyone willing to take a hard stand against wrong for what I'd right? I'm not trying to embarrass my wife. My plan to leave church is something I think I need temporarily to allow me time to adjust and heal without the well-meaning but feeble attempts at comforting me. I understand that following the Bible's plan may make her mad. I understand that it might further damage our chances of reconciliation. But I also know that there is no us until she is repentant and sorry for her actions. I just don't understand why everybody is so set on not making her mad. Maybe that's what she needs in order for her to really take a good look at herself. Our marriage can survive her anger, but no other men. Okay, with daughter with me this weekend, I decided to go to another church today. Pastor knew about it, but wife didn't. She showed up, realized we weren't there, and asked pastor if he knew. He told her I went somewhere else. She tried to call, but I didn't answer because it was during service. She did stay at church for about 20 minutes. Several people called and told me, but left. This proves to me even more about how lost she is. Why does it bother her that I or we weren't there? Why did she have to leave? Why couldn't she just stay and enjoy service by herself? Makes me wonder. The restraining order is simply an attempt to manipulate me into giving in and just giving her what she wants. She is not, nor has she ever been, afraid of me. I'm just a boxer who is not ready to throw in the towel. I do and always have felt she still cares despite what she's said and done. I've also felt that she is just spiritually disconnected. This was evident by her not remaining at church today because we weren't there. Us not being there should not have determined whether or not she stayed. I do know and I'm convinced of a couple of things. 1, God's will ultimately be accomplished no matter what we do or don't do. 2, contrary to what she has said and done, I know there is still love there. 3, some of the things I've done have had an effect on her, maybe not as much as I would like. What I think I need to do is spend less time on here hoping to find the magic that will turn things around and allow God to do whatever He's going to do. I, from the beginning, have felt that it would happen. I just don't know when or how. From the beginning, I felt it was less about what I've done and more about what she's doing. I think getting on here regularly to vent or seek advice has actually hurt me more than it has helped, so I'm going to take some time off and see what happens. I appreciate all the assistance and help. I will continue on my path of self-improvement and my commitment to doing what's right. It may work out and it may not. I'll have to deal with either outcome or I will. So, what do I do? Do I hack into accounts? Do I send proof to more family members? I only told her mom and her cousin. Do I expose to more people from church? I showed pastor, but he simply says let God deal with her. I totally agree with the 2 posts above, and the more I think about it, it really kind of makes me mad that people simply have brushed things under the rug as if nothing is happening. Mother-in-law says that's just kind of what happens. Father-in-law's side of family thinks nothing is wrong, with the exception of father-in-law's wife, who has been in my wife's life for over 30 years. Wife won't even talk to her because she knows what she'll get. People at church know that something is wrong by her lack of attendance. She has never missed church so much in the 10+ years we've been together, so everyone at the least understands that there is something not right. They just don't know all the details. How do I go about things now? We're separated and I no longer have access to her computer, her cell phone account, or her email, etc. The stuff I do have is a couple of months old. Who do I go to? Pastor. Done that. Mother and father. Done that. The close family friends. Wife was standoffish and mean. I'm not really crying over the situation or anything, but I at least thought that given the proof that some people are aware of, someone would do or say something. Everybody seems to be afraid of making her mad, or they don't care that she's doing it. The common statement I get is to just let her do what she's doing and sooner or later she will crash and burn, so to speak. As far as my marriage is concerned, I just don't agree with that. Especially from the Christian perspective, with all of the teachings about bearing one another's burden, and going to get lost sheep, and lovingly addressing a fellow believer who's caught up in sin. She dropped the rope partly due, I believe, to her knowing the accusations were false and unwarranted. As a believer, yes, I know that God's will be done. Yes, understand the battle that is taking place spiritually. I did come to a decision that I am leaving my church. It pains me to do, having been the only place I've known in the 11+ years I've been here in Indiana. It pains me because of the relationships that have been developed. It pains me because of the ministries that I was involved in, but I can't stay if she is still there. I can't stay with the rest of her family there knowing they are aware of her actions and have basically turned a deaf ear to it, and I have no family there or within 1,000 miles. I can't stay knowing that my pastor, who has been my best friend for 9+ years and is our daughter's godfather, chooses to do nothing as opposed to what the Bible teaches and what a shepherd should do. It is probably the hardest decision I've ever had to make, but I believe it to be the right one. I'm now gathering my bearings to go and express these same thoughts to my pastor in a few. Thank you all for your help and support throughout all of this. No, it's not over yet. No, I'm not hurting over my wife now, nor have I been for a while. I'm more hurt that I haven't got the type of support from those from which I expected it, specifically my pastor. Well, the pastor and I had the talk. He said he felt I was making the wrong decision and leaving. Understand that it was probably one of the most difficult things I've ever done because of how close he and I have always been. He stated that he didn't feel stripping her position away for her blatant disregard was not the right thing to do. He said when she told him she was going to do whatever she wanted, there was nothing more he could do. Yes, he said it's obvious that she is at the least in a backslidden condition, but that she was in God's hands now. He compares my situation with one he had with a girlfriend. When it ended, they remained at the same church and he said it was tough, but he stayed. Yes, there may be similarities, but his relationship was a few years. Being married for 10+ years is not the same as having a girlfriend for few years. Still an uphill climb ahead of me, but I will make it. I just came back from the house of one of the older women of the church, another grandmother to me, who had something to give me. She has been a huge part of my family's life as she was our daughter's first caregiver until around 2 years old. She has known my wife all of her life and me since I've been here. I told her of my decision, and that was almost as difficult as telling my pastor, if not more. She's aware of the situation with my wife and I, but I didn't want to go into any more details, especially concerning the pastor. I simply said that it was deeper than just my marital issue and left it at that. I'm not regretful of the decision to leave, as it was something that I've been praying about for quite some time. There are tons of people that love me dearly at this church that I will miss. Some of them I will stay in contact with in one way or another. This phase of my life has brought about many different changes, and it seems that this is yet another one. I've managed to deal with and get past the rest of them, so this too shall pass. Last night, I thought about the meeting with my pastor, and I didn't feel as if I adequately expressed what I truly felt, so I wrote him a letter and delivered off to him today. In it I listed what he is aware of as proof that he could and should do more than just let God deal with it. This is what it said. I never asked you to tell my wife to come back to me, but to address her spiritual condition. Yes, I believe we wouldn't be here if her spiritual condition wasn't what it is. I think you've been concentrating on her coming back to me and missing the point that she is lost and doesn't recognize it. You asked me what I would do. I wouldn't let her remain as church clerk knowing she's committing adultery, talking to other guys, pursuing them on a website, texting them, and all that is adultery. And since she is lost and doesn't know it, as pastor, I think you should make her aware that she's lost, since she doesn't see it. Examples. 1. You can't serve the Satan and God, the heavy drinking and partying and such. 2. Missing church, Bible study, etc. equals not concerned about God. 3. Knowingly and intentionally sinning means not having a right relationship with God, unrepentant. 4. A tree is recognized by its fruit, and from what we've discussed she has no resemblance to Christ. 5. Galatians 5 as well as others talks about works of flesh and fruit of spirit. She has works but little or no fruit, meaning she is either unconverted or backslide. 6. Not one or seeking godly advice means not caring about God. 7. Pride always ends in shame, diverting responsibility, blaming others, not wanting to face personal issues, etc. I felt if you addressed her spiritual situation, everything else will take care of itself. You are the watcher of her soul. To not do anything and say let God handle it is wrong. That was my letter, and it is how I feel. What made writing the letter as well as leaving the church so difficult is that the pastor and I started our journeys essentially at the same time. He is a pastor and me as a minister. We have had a little brother, big brother relationship for the past 9 years. He has willingly and unselfishly helped me and my family out financially on several occasions. He and his wife are my daughter's godparents. Over the years, we have disagreed on scriptural interpretation, but there has not been a time when we just agreed to disagree lovingly and moved on. I don't know what the letter did to him or how he reacted to it, but I hope that our relationship somehow can be salvaged and he can continue to be my loving big brother. I am now in a place where it would seem I am all by myself. I have no family within 1,000 miles. I just left the only church I've ever known since moving here. There are so many people there who have been such an encouraging voice to me throughout this, and it would seem that I've thrown it away. Some I will still have a chance to see and talk to from time to time, but it will be nothing like it used to be. I go from being a Sunday school teacher, substitute for Bible study teacher, and church musician to now trying to find and reestablish my place within a new church. It will be hard to replace the very close connections I have with the people there. People who have been there for my family. People who have seen the changes I've gone through over the years. But I don't really regret making the decision. I have been feeling that way about how he handled the situation for a while. One thing I've learned throughout all of this is to be open and upfront, no matter how difficult it can be. I had to say something and I did. I just know that this is going to be a very difficult transition for me, as has been the whole separation, divorce. God has helped me to get through the last 5 months, and He will continue to strengthen me to keep moving forward. I composed my Plan B letter and sent it via email this morning. She responded very quickly and very negatively, of course. Yeah, I don't want to be with you stuff, which is okay. I'm okay with that. I will continue to press forward. The changes in my life are huge right now, but with my faith and never give up attitude, I will be okay. I've gone through a lot of obstacles in my life, and I'm sure there are more to come, but I will rise. Today, I went by church to pick up last of my musical equipment. Had to go by pastor's office, which is almost always open. It was, and he never even lifted head away from his work. He replied okay when I told him why I'd come, but nothing else. I still don't regret the decision, but it is so difficult to know that this whole divorce thing has caused more than one strained relationship. It's sad to know how pastor and I used to be and to see where we are. Just sad. Another update. Since the Plan B letter I sent to wife, in which I stated that all contact be done through email, she has texted and called about 8 times, and it's only been 2 days. I am going to stick to my guns on this one, but I would like some suggestions of maybe a better way, if there is one, when kids are involved. Is the email thing okay, or should I consider something else? I believe she refuses to email me because she doesn't want me to know her new email address, because she changed it months ago when I found out all the dirt by guessing her passwords. Wife called and texted about 10 times last night, none of them were responded to. She won't email after work because she doesn't want me knowing her new email address for reasons stated earlier. She finally emails after getting to work this morning. Nothing major, but she does say she will stop cussing at me. If that is the only thing she thinks she's doing wrong, then that's sad. This experience has been one that I don't wish on anyone. Losing your wife and the family unit itself. Leaving the only church you've known, including the relationships. Losing your pastor, big brother, because he wouldn't stand up against wrong. Knowing wife is at least emotionally involved with others. Knowing your wife is spiritually lost. Financially struggling to even pay basic necessities. It's been rough. Every day is another put behind. I don't know what the future holds, but it can't get any worse. Leading up to the final hearing, or what I thought was going to be the final hearing, I had emotionally gotten to a place where I'd accepted the fact that my marriage was over. I didn't agree with the reasons for the divorce. I didn't want the divorce, but I had pretty much accepted the fact that I would walk in court in March married and come out divorced. It didn't quite happen that way for a number of reasons, and that has caused many of the emotions that had gone dormant for a period to reemerge. Add to that now the fact that I've left my church and the only family that I have here, and I have this great sense of loneliness, emptiness. It pretty much seems as if I've gone backwards and not forwards. I thought I was done feeling this way, but here I am again. Mediation is still several weeks away. I don't know if things will get resolved then, but I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to pay my half of the cost. I'm wondering if it will take more than one session to get things resolved, which will also add to my concerns. I'm really not that worried about it to the point of being anxious, because I have faith that God will work things out somehow. It is just a rough patch, and I know that I'll make it. I keep thinking about David in Psalm 23 when he said, "Yea, though I walk through the valley," which implies that the valley was not his final destination. I may be in the valley right now, but I know that I will make it through. As far as the NC, this is the end of week 1, and so far, so good. It still doesn't feel the best, but I don't have many choices at this point. Just got to keep looking to the future and saying, in the words of Annie, the sun will come out tomorrow. I'll just be glad when tomorrow comes. She just will not accept my terms for communication. I told her to email me or use the emergency contact, none of which she's done. She called and texted again this morning saying we need to communicate concerning our daughter. We do, but I told her to email me, but if it's after her work hours, she won't email because she doesn't want me to know her new email address since I cracked her last email and found the dirt. The messages were just saying to call her. I'm sticking to it no matter how hard. And yes, I've fought the good fight. Also, I will try to post my NC letter later. Well, today daughter had a concert at school. I purposely showed up a little late knowing wife and MIL would be settled by then. I stood close to the door to watch the whole thing knowing that wife could possibly try to come to me. After the last song was sang, I left. It hurts me that I didn't get a chance to go and tell my daughter that I saw her and how proud I was, but no contact means no contact, right? I will see daughter on the weekend, so we'll talk then. I wouldn't have been able to do that without wife being in my face. About 5 minutes after I left, wife calls and of course I don't answer. Since last Tuesday she has pretty much disregarded my request for email contact only, and she wonders why I haven't responded. I will continue to push forward and wait out the storm. Our daughter is 7. I'm not sure if she knows about the divorce or what it actually means, but she does know that her mother and I don't live together anymore. That's pretty obvious. It pains me to see her get upset about her mother not coming to church prior to me leaving. It pains me to see her so upset about having to go to a different church this past weekend when she was with me. She stated that she wanted to see mommy at church. She doesn't know, but another church member told me that my wife didn't show up yet again this week. That makes 5 of the last 6 weeks she hasn't gone. My wife had previously blamed my being there for her not coming. Well, she knew I had left the church, so what is her excuse now? Another attempt at her to shift the blame, as she has done about countless other things, to me when it more accurately is her fault. Also, just got another text about 5 minutes ago. She will not stop. All she has to do is send me an email. Nothing that she's texted about or called and left messages about have been emergencies. I'm started to believe that she really doesn't like not being able to have any contact with me. Who knows? I want to let everyone know, also, that even though most people today would say that since the divorce is in the process, they are free to do what they choose as far as relationships go, I've heard from countless number of people that I should date and move on. While it may seem like the normal thing to do, it is morally and legally wrong, because getting a divorce and being divorced are two different things in my book. Yes, we are in the process, and yes, it may be inevitable that it happens, but I am still married and will not date anyone probably for a while after the divorce, if and when it happens. Emotionally, I'm not sure I will be ready to try and pursue a new relationship, and I don't want to lead anyone on. By the way, her last text pretty much called me selfish for not sticking around to talk to daughter after the performance. I'm sure I would have gotten one had I not shown up. But I also got one because we were not a happy family afterwards. She said it is not all about me. That is kind of funny because the reason she said she wanted the divorce was all about her. Go figure. Well, my wife has now found a way to get around my NC request. She has bought our daughter a cell phone, which I thought was great. Daughter texted me about it this morning and I immediately called her. But then I hear my wife in the background saying, "Tell your dad this, tell your dad that, or ask your dad this." I promptly sent her an email stating that she was going to ruin her daughter's ability to speak with her father if she does not respect my request for NC. The phone is not to be used as a medium to relay messages from her. She can contact me only through email. Was I wrong in saying this? So yesterday I went and had a discussion with the pastor of the church I am currently attending about why I'm there. He knew me and our pastor before and he knew we had a close relationship. Without going into the heavy stuff, I just told him that the impending divorce is the reason why I've decided to attend his church at least temporarily. He then starts talking to me about God's will for marriage and how it is necessary that Christians understand that by walking away from a marriage, particularly with unbiblical grounds, you are essentially telling God you don't care what he thinks. I had to interrupt him to clarify that I wasn't walking away and that I didn't want the divorce. I didn't go into any of my wife's behaviors other than those that may be obvious signs of her having spiritually strayed. I didn't talk about infidelity and the other stuff. He then asks a very difficult question: what does your pastor think about it? I simply told him that he felt that this was something that God should handle. Again, I didn't think it necessary to reveal everything in that regard, but he did comment by saying that pastors do have a certain responsibility. I came to realize yesterday that most of the negative emotions I have right now are because of my pastor and not my wife. What do you guys think about that? First of all, I haven't formally become a member of this new church. I will continue to attend there, but the new minister is not actually my pastor yet. He even mentioned in our conversation that until I do formally unite with the church, my pastor is still at the other church. This is why I am and have been hesitant to reveal any more details. Doing so would not only cast a different light on my situation as well as my wife, but it would also implicate my pastor and his lack of action. Well, instead of going to my new pastor, I went to someone better. I went to the mentor of both my pastor and me. Several years ago, my pastor and I went to seminary together and our classes were taught by one of, if not the most respected pastors in our town. He's in his upper 70s and has been pastoring for 40 plus years. My pastor and I both have a close relationship with him. I told him everything about my situation, including what my wife is doing and what my pastor didn't do. To say the least, he was more appalled by my pastor's lack of action. He too spoke of an obligation of the pastor. He stated that he didn't think I was wrong in how I felt. He said that it was unnecessary for my pastor to wait on God's urging to do something when the Bible is pretty explicit about such matters. I don't know what will come of that conversation, but I feel better KOing that someone else knows. Maybe he will give him a friendly call or visit. I don't know. Well, I don't know what God is doing, but he is doing something. I and wife both showed up for mediation today with the knowledge that we'd be billed for our session if we couldn't pay. Upon getting there, we were told that we had to pay $300 upfront before anything could be started. We were both then given 60 days to come up with the money. This is the third time in our divorce process where things have hit a snag that really neither of us had control over. Wife was livid. She called questioning our reason for having to go to mediation even though she already knows. I told her that if she couldn't talk to me in a respectable way, then I would end the conversation. She wouldn't, so I did. We were supposed to be going to final hearing that was reset for June 2nd pending mediation, but now that's not going to happen. I don't know, but my thoughts based on everything that has happened is that our divorce may not be in his will. I just don't know anymore. But one thing I do know is that God is in control. I'm doing fairly well since the revelation from my wife this morning. It's not like it was really a big surprise. I actually got a chuckle from the fog babble she threw out. I've read tons of stuff that are attributed to wayward spouses and she followed it in textbook fashion. One of the interesting things she said was that if she ever had to return to me, she would cheat on me and make my life a living hell. Man, she is in deep. All of this because the mediation didn't happen yesterday, and that pushes the finalization of our divorce back another 2 to 3 months, if not more. And she was mad about me hanging up on her when she called after the failed mediation appointment. She starts ranting and raving, so I told her that if she wouldn't talk respectfully to me, I would hang up. She wouldn't, so I did. She then goes on to tell me this morning that she was blocking my number so that I couldn't call her, and sent me a text later saying, "Your number is now blocked." To me, she is acting kind of like a spoiled kid that doesn't get their way. She did the same thing when our first court appearance was rescheduled. So sad. An update. I have officially gone dark. Plan B. I started it Wednesday and it caught her as a total surprise. We had just had a short, brief conversation on Tuesday about daughter when it hit me. Since the failed mediation appointment and her admission of having a new man in her life, she said she would block my calls and texts. And she did. Then I realized that she could call me but I couldn't call her. That was it. I know it was probably long overdue, but that's where I am now. She absolutely hates it. She told the intermediary that this is a way for me to control her and that she would not comply. What the hell? How am I controlling her? By removing myself from her life. Whether or not she wants to do, she will learn that she has to if any communication is going to be made with me. I hate to say it in such a harsh way, but it is time that she crashes and burn without me. I never had much of an opportunity to do a proper plan A. I moved out the day she found out, a day I downloaded videos while daughter was across the room. No, I didn't watch nor did she see anything. I thought this was the reason, but found out it was just an excuse to cover up so many other things. I really think that Plan B has a lot of the same principles of many other approaches, but with a different name. Now, I will do no dating due to my beliefs that dating while married, no matter the circumstances, are wrong, but it will not prevent me from moving in a different direction. Well, I'm approaching the end of the first week of Plan B and I'm doing fairly well. Had a tough set of night, but I pulled through. My disloyal wife is not taking it so well though. She sent an email telling me that she would not comply with my request that all communication be done through an intermediary. She also stated that if that was the way I want, then I won't know anything about my daughter. She already has a phone, so that's no problem. The big issue is, as a super control freak, my wife has lost control of the situation and it is killing her. It's funny because she went back to the courts about 3 weeks ago requesting to have our provisional agreement modified to state that I could no longer contact her via email or text or anything. Now I've voluntarily done it, just not in the way she wants it, and she cannot handle it. I will tell you all that Plan B is tough. Today is the 1-week mark of going dark and I don't know if I like it or not. I know that every day will get better, at least I hope it will. I just try to keep my mind off of the affair, and it is still difficult to do at this point. A lot of my reservation initially about going Plan B was knowing I never really had a chance to do a plan A properly. Therefore, to me, going Plan B was more like kissing my marriage goodbye. As a Christian, the one thing that I know and believe is that God is able to do anything in spite of the way things look, so I will hold on to that. So, I'm starting to feel a lot better since I've gone totally dark Plan B, and have had no contact with wife. I still love her, but at this point, I've done everything humanly possible, some good and bad, to try to pull things together. The ball is now in her court. Our daughter was in her first play yesterday, and I wasn't going to go, but I decided to go anyway. I showed up about 15 minutes late knowing that I wouldn't miss daughter's part. I stood at the door in a very dark auditorium and recorded on my phone when she came out and did her part. Nobody knows I was there, and I'll tell our daughter when I see her this weekend. Wife did call and leave message promptly after play was over, probably mad that I didn't show up. Her call was ignored and the message was deleted without listening. At this point, I don't feel the need to tell her anything. Daughter will know that I was there, and that's all that matters right now. I can't really say that I'm not hoping that my Plan B will have a positive effect on her and our marriage, because I am. I know that there are no guarantees and that Plan B is all about me. It's just a shame that she can't see the forest for the trees. She can't see someone who honestly loves her enough to forgive her ways and rebuild the family we had and the life we dreamed. I'm not giving up, though, because it's not over yet. But at this point, I guess I have to prepare myself for the worst. I do still know and believe one thing: God can do anything. My comment: you need to take action. Don't just let things happen to you. You need to be the driving force. Let's see, will OP learn in the next part.